If you are Jewish, does that mean you have to be a Zionist? Is that an obligation? In one of his recent videos, Peter Beinart went on a rant saying that in Jewish spaces, we care more about Zionism than we do about God. What's his proof? Because he says, look, if you go into a hillel, into a synagogue, etc., and you say, oh, I question the existence of God, I have my atheist beliefs, no one's going to kick you out. But Peter Beinart argues, if someone is anti-Zionist, then in many Jewish institutions, they will be made uncomfortable or asked to leave, etc. So first of all, let me make it clear. That's absolutely false. Meaning, if someone goes into a Jewish university, into a Hillel house, into a synagogue, Jewish federation, what have you not, and they happen to believe that Zionism is not their thing, or they even believe that Jews should be living in the diaspora, okay? They believe that there's no need for Jews to have a homeland. There's no need for Jews to have the ability to live in their ancestral homeland where they're indigenous. Nothing's going to happen. Nobody's going to care, might I say. Really, really nobody's going to care. But here's the part that Peter doesn't tell you about. What Peter doesn't tell you about is that over the past few years, anti-Zionism has been the cover for unadulterated hatred of our people, violent anti-Semitism, racism against our people, and as Rabbi Jonathan Sachs put it, it is the latest mutation of the anti-Semitic virus, the virus of anti-Semitism, which once shows itself as targeting Jews for not believing in Christianity or Islam or not having a homeland or yes, having a homeland or being too rich or being too poor. That virus of hatred that has endangered our people and cost us the lives of a third of the Jewish people during the Holocaust, that virus is now mutating in the form of anti-Semitism, in the form of anti-Zionism. Whereas in the past, people said, oh, we're going to target you for your religious beliefs, for this or for that. Now they say, we don't have anything against your religion. We don't have anything against your race. We only have something against Zionism. And it's this ideology that motivates the most brutal and dangerous attacks on our people. Whether it's attacks like we saw on October 7th, whether it's attacks like we saw in Munich in 1972 against the Israeli athletes, whether it's synagogues being spray painted, Jewish schools being fired at as they have in Montreal, Jewish synagogues being vandalized, that is the ideology. And so, if you're Jewish and you walk into a Jewish space, a Hillel house, a federation, a synagogue, and you say, oh, I am anti-Zionist in a way that sounds enough like you are siding with those people, it's like coming to Jewish people in Germany in 1938 and saying, oh, hey, I have this funny belief that the German race is a superior one, right? Whereas if you said that in the 1800s, people would be like, oh, that's weird. That's a weird thing to believe. And they would just move on with their day. If you came into a synagogue in the 1800s in Germany, be like, you know what? I believe that the German Aryan race, whatever it is they believe, no one would say anything. But if you came in 1938 and you said, I have that belief, two options. Either everyone would run out of the synagogue or you would be tossed out of the synagogue. Not because anyone cares about your belief, not because people are scrutinizing what you believe, but because there's that suspicion and identification of your beliefs with the beliefs of the people who are harming, persecuting, and hurting the Jewish people. That's the idea. That's what's going on. It's not that Jews care about your belief about Zionism more than they care about your belief in God or what have you not. It's that the anti-Zionist movement has become the flagship of anti-Semitism. It's become the spear, the head of the spear of the most violent forms of anti-Semitism, often originating from violent organizations like Hezbollah, like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard in Iran, the most dangerous groups that were blowing up JCCs in Argentina and inflicting harm and endangering Jews around the world. I mean, if you go to Europe, you need a passport to get into a synagogue. You need to go through airport security to go into a synagogue. And that security is because of one and only one reason. It is because of anti-Zionism. If you speak to Jews who lived in Morocco, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, you ask them, in what license, with what permission did those who ethnically cleansed you from your countries, those who expelled you from places where you lived for 2,000 years, how did they dare do so? They will tell you, they came to us and said, it's because of Zionism. And so when someone Jewish carries this ideology, nobody cares about what their actual ideology is as much as we just have a concern for our safety. That's it. And so to anti-Zionist Jews, I say, just understand this. Understand that when you're carrying your anti-Zionist ideology, and much more so and more concerning, when you hang out with those friends of yours that you think are simply anti-Zionist, but you don't realize who they're affiliated with, what organizations they're affiliated with, make sure you understand how that makes your fellow Jews feel. Not just feel, but make sure what that actually means from a perspective of existence, safety, not mental safety, not safety of like having their feelings hurt, safety from having, like in Montreal and Toronto and Vancouver, where the synagogue where my grandmother grew up was firebombed. No, not from that perspective, from the not just a feelings perspective, from a physical perspective. Make sure you understand that, and make sure you understand that no one has anything against Hasidic Jews in Kiryas Joel or Muncie who happen to not believe that Jews should be living in Israel, but they live in their own small communities in their Hasidic enclaves. Nobody cares about that. What people do care is our actual safety, and those who side with genocidal movements that defame Jews as colonizers and as genocide people, all kinds of maligning and slandering names. And that's what we have something against. But otherwise, you're always welcome. We love you. You're part of our people. Unless you're hanging out with those people who are a direct threat to our safety. But otherwise, it's all good. And we always are happy to engage and talk.